Welcome back to the rest of the third act. I don't know how long this part's gonna be, but I'm uploading part 7, and you'll find that part 7 is like an hour long. I thought it was gonna end. It just kept going and going. It's seriously longer than the previous story I played. It's so long. Like, I think the one I played weeks ago was honestly maybe like a 2-hour gameplay. This is over that. This is like way over that. Ugh. Anyway, get back into it. We're basically at the assembly rooms. We keep meeting with him even though we know like his secret, and I really think it's like why don't they just, I don't get what more to the story. It's like, why can't you just cut that out? Like, you need to wrap it up. Like, keep going on. And it gets annoying after a while. It's like, what else could possibly happen that's, like, scandalous, you know? I don't know how long this part will be, but enjoy. And maybe we'll move on to another guy. And hopefully it won't be so long. I mean, I just didn't expect it to be that long. Oh, he's not even here. It is a true shame Larry cannot join us today. Okay. He's not even here right now. Indeed it is. He might just show up. Like, you never know. Like, I thought you were coming, but then they show up. Indeed it is. My excitement for the meeting had deflated on receiving the apologies Larry had sent in a note that morning saying he would not be able to join us. He seems a decent fellow, and I have much enjoyed growing an acquaintance with him. I jumped slightly as Arabella rests her hand on my— Dang, girl, like, don't touch me so suddenly. I'm sure only the most serious of reasons would have kept him from you. I smile in gratitude of her words. Come now, his absence does not mean we cannot enjoy ourselves. I have treasured meeting with you both so regularly of late. Yes, we have become quite the pair, have we not? Though the Colonel blushes deeply, I cannot help but notice a small smile that flickers onto his lips at her words. I did not mean to keep the two of you parted this season. Please, Colonel, we have all been busy in our own ways. It does not mean our friendships will fade. I smile at Arabella, who squeezes my hand a little tighter. Oh, have you heard the news? Oh, her again. We whip around at the breathless voice of Miss Witter, who nearly trips over my chair in her haste. Girl, calm. What on earth could it be to cause such hysterics in one so young? The Colonel bows at Miss Witter's arrival, but she barely notices as she leans on her table to speak. Then you must definitely have not heard. The society swindler has shot someone. But he told us he did not load it. Okay, if you guys remember from the next episode, which you will watch eventually. He said he did not load it, and plus we were also like, okay, don't carry the gun. Like, Rose was like, don't carry a gun because you could, like, accidentally shoot someone, or, something could happen. Like, she's like, it's really dangerous still, even if something by accident happened. And she's like, you carry a gun. He's like, oh, it's just for show. But he shot someone? My breath leaves me. Wow. It was only a matter of time. Shot someone? They are, well, not truly shot, no, but grazed him. Mr. Hunter has a burn on his arm where the bullet came so close. I barely hear her words. My mind races, my stomach nodding so tight I feel nauseous. It can't be. He promised. Exactly. He promised he wouldn't even carry a gun anymore, because she was like, do not, like, carry a gun. It's just too, because you don't know, like, if you get pissed you could just boom shoot someone. And a lot of the guys in the game, like the older guys, seem to be rather brutish, if that's the correct term. I don't know. Rose, I just don't mind me. Please have a good afternoon. I have to go. Such news will be the talk for days. I'm going to say, please excuse me. I feel unwell. I stumble to stand from my chair, my legs weakened by the news. You are leaving already? Please, if you will excuse me, I feel suddenly unwell. I will fetch you a carriage at once. No, please, some fresh air will do me good. I ignore the surprise and concern on their faces, too confused and pained to pay any real attention. As I move to go, Arabella takes my arm and leads me away a little. I am sure it is not true, Rose. Mr. Amesbury is such a genuine man, I cannot believe he would harm anyone. I appreciate your words, Arabella, but I have to find out for myself. I understand, but please be careful. I hug her goodbye and leave the assembly rooms, my thoughts still a storm of confusion. If he was so bored, because that was like his main reason, like he was bored and then he saw that he could make, he could be kind of like a character in the film. If he met us, the book, like books he's been reading, and then he's like, oh, then I met you, then like he doesn't need to do that anymore, right? Like clearly we're not enough excitement for him. If you love me, let me go. Kidding. On the way through town, I continue to hear whispers of the swindler's latest escapade. Each time I hear them speak of the gunshot of the man's injury, my chest constricts painfully. It's well written, I'll give it that. Like, it's a pretty good novel. By the time I reach Larry's house, I'm drained from trying to keep my hope alive. 'Cause girl, like, if we need to hear his story. Be like, A, why were you carrying one? Was it self-defense? Like, I don't get it, dude. One of the servants lets me inside, leading me straight to where Larry is. Miss Smythe, this is quite a surprise. Is it? No, it's not. Wait for the servant to leave, the door clicking shut behind her before stepping closer towards him. You promised me. Okay, she's losing it. You promised you would not touch the gun again. His smile quickly falls. You must understand, it was not... Then you know what I am speaking of. For one moment I had hoped so much that he would not know the incident, that it would all have been a mistake. I turn away, not able to look at him, as a sharp pain pierces through my chest. Without thinking, I step towards the door to leave. I am halted as he grabs my arm to spin me to face him. Explain. You must listen to me. I never broke my promise. It was not me. How can I trust the word of a man who has to wear a mask to make his life fulfilled? Ooh, she has the point, brah. She has the point. My words and tone are sharp, and I can see them cut across him. I cannot. No, do not say what you're about to. I did not go out last night. It was not me. Please do not lose trust in me now. I have waited my whole life to find someone who will enrich me as you do. And I know you feel for me in the same way. You cannot deny that. Maybe it was, it could have been an imposter, because there's people that are copycat. If you guys have watched a lot of, like, I don't know, Dexter or crime shows, there's copycat serial killers and copycat criminals. It happens a lot where they do that pretty much it's either the same exact things that one serial killer does, or they emulate it, or they do take things that a serial killer in the past have done, and they kind of put it into their own, like, image, I guess. But how do you know But how do I know who the real you is? Exactly, because he kind of has to wear a mask at night. He flinches at my question, pain streaking across his features. His loose grip falls from my arm, his hands moving to his sides. With every part of my being, I promise you it was not me who shot that man. Do we trust him or do we leave him? I would say, let's try trusting him. And you better not be lying or we're gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna shoot you. We're gonna do something to you. Oh gosh. Trust him, I guess. Unless he's, like, good at lying, you know what I mean? I stared at him for the longest moment, examining every feature I thought I had come to know so well. There's honesty in his eyes and truth in his voice. I stepped close to him, taking his hands in mine. His brows arch in surprise of my movement, a flicker of hope flashing through his eyes as he returns his gaze to mine. I trust you, Lawrence. That's the first time she said his first name. Because even after they kind of were like, they kind of made it known that they liked each other, they just didn't call each other by first names. It's like, what the heck? His face brightens into a smile that even has me grinning in return. I knew it. I knew you would not doubt me. He raises his hand to cut my cheek, the heat of his touch taking my smile widen. And to hear my name from your lips. Ha! Now it changed to Lawrence. His thumb runs across my bottom lip, making my breath catch. I would have placed it there always, as I would have mine on yours. I pull away when I worry I may become lost in the moment. But if it was not you who shot that man, then who did? I had been pondering the same thing all morning. That is why you did not meet me? He gives a solemn nod. We both take a seat, sitting opposite each other as we fall silent in thought for a moment. I did not even know about the incident until Pierce told me of it this morning. Oh. That's when you asked Pierce if you were, like, really, suspicious. And I grew so concerned I knew it would show upon my face should I meet you. It must be someone imitating the swindler. But I cannot fathom as to why they would do so. Maybe someone such as yourself looking for excitement to fill their life? I suppose it must be. And when the opportunity presented itself in the form of an unknown man, who could be anyone, they took it. But that they are hurting those they stop is what worries. It was apparently only a small burn. That it happened at all is my main concern. That this is my fault. I must find out this person's identity and stop them before it occurs again. And I shall help you. He turns to me, breaking from his moment of seriousness to take my hand. I cannot ask for a better partner in this. A partner in crime? A partner in everything, Rose. My name from him makes my skin heat, and I glance away, hoping you will not notice. Ah! Jesus! Both jump at the sound of the door. I actually did jump a bit. Oh my gosh. Oh! Some of my drink. Okay. We both jump at the sound of the door opening, Lawrence's hand falling from mine. I glance at the side to see Monty entering. Ah, Miss Smythe, I did not realize you were here. It's 'cause you have to enter the room to see where people are. Dude. Visiting us once again. Yeah, I'm allowed to. It's a free country, I think, in this time period. Is it free? I think so. Yeah. Pierce, don't be such a stick in the mud. Rose is always welcome. Yes. Rose? I didn't realize the acquaintance had become so close. Yes, you did. You salty ass MFer. There is a stiffness to his voice that makes me tense a little, though Lawrence doesn't seem to notice. It has very much so. I catch his gaze, smiling at his attention once again. Dang, he really turned into, like, this cold-blooded, like, hater. Somebody a hater-gator. I suppose you heard about what happened with the swindler. Mr. Montfort's question quickly breaks the moment. Most bold of him to make such a move, is it not? I would not classify any kind of violence as bold, just thoughtless. But it is as far more exciting than stealing a few trinkets, do you not think, Lawrence? Lawrence's response only gives an uncertain shrug. Certainly adds more character to what that swindler has done before. Such harm against, you could say, such harm against another never adds character. You should not speak of such things so lightly. Character, yes, but what type is debatable? Remain silent. It's character, but, like, not good character. I'm just gonna say such harm never adds character. Trinkets, as you put it, can be replaced, but one's life never can be. Yes! Preach. The man did not take anyone's life, but he could have. I hold Monty's rather steely gaze. Not yet. Lawrence suddenly stands a smile on his face, obviously hoping to break the current topic. Come now, both of you. Why both? He's getting on my nerves. He's cute, but he's getting on my nerves. Disagreeing on things is all well and good, but between you two, I shall not stand for it. Yeah, we don't put up with crap, Monty. Get over it. I also stand from my seat as the bell chimes on the clock. We don't really look like we're seated. We look like we're standing, Rose. Are you Smoking something. I should probably be leaving or Arabella may come searching. Yeah. Then allow me to escort you out. He moves to the door, stepping out into the hallway ahead of me. Dang, this is a long game. Long as hell. I was not expecting it to be this long. Like, now it's like another mission we have? Find out who the imposter is. I turn to Mr. Monty and drop into a curtsy. Good day to you, Monty. Good day. He dips into a stiff, short bow before turning back to examine the bookcases. I frown a little at his dismissal, then move to the door to leave. Yeah, she's like, I care for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, I don't care. After helping me with my cape and hat, Lawrence walks me to the door. I linger in the hallway, reluctant to leave, even more so as he steps closer to me. Drawing me to him like a moth to a flame. We'll find the imposter together. Until that time, maybe it would be better not to go out as a swindler yourself. But how else am I supposed to find bravery enough to reveal my feelings towards you? I believe you're quite capable of that without the mask, Lawrence. I truly hope so. Yeah, dude, like you've been doing it recently. You got it, dude. His hands rest on my arms, a shiver coursing through me at the touch. Thank you for trusting me. You are most welcome. Now I really must be going. Ah, yes, of course. Yet, still, his hands do not fall from me. Kiss his cheek. We shall see each other soon. Hold his hands. Kiss his cheek. Scandalous. Uncaring of any who may see on the street behind us, I step closer towards him and place a gentle kiss on his cheek. As I move back, I cannot help but smile at the surprise on his face. His fingers touch where my lips had just been. Saying goodbye is certainly bittersweet. I give a light chuckle, quickly turning away before his gaze hypnotizes me further. By the time I am nearing the house, darkness has settled over the town. Oh no, she's gonna be finding the imposter. Is she not? Ooh. I'm thinking, cause I can kind of guess what happens sometimes, most of the time, I don't know. Oil lamps glow, illuminating the few figures like myself who hurry back to the comfort of home. I am thankful to find it warm inside, the chill from the evening settling on me like a dew. Oh, thank God she's inside. Johnson is the first to greet me, ready to take my cape and hat. Good evening, Miss Smythe. Good evening, Johnson. Is Arabella here? Indeed she is. He gestures to the drawing room. Thank you, Johnson. The older man gives as much of a bow as he can manage, though I fear I may hear his bones creak with the effort. As he shuffles away, I move to the drawing room. Arabella, I hope... Why do you fumble so, Ernest? It is only me. But you do not realize that it is precisely the fact it is you that I stumble over my words. Especially now when I wish to ask if you will... Yes? Ooh. Arabella, may I have your hand in... Oh, Rose! I suddenly find myself stumbling into the intimate scene of Ernest and Arabella holding hands, and obviously something important about to be said. Yeah, it's like that scene from Big Daddy, where he's like, I want to do something, like they're at a party, right, and it was a going away party, and the guy is like, oh, I've been waiting to do something, and I'm glad you guys are all here tonight, and Adam Sandler goes, you're not going to propose, are you? And the guy goes, yeah, buddy, I am. And he's like, well, think about it, alright? And the guy goes, will you? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, automatic. We're Adam Sandler in this situation. Except we're not saying, like, you're not going to propose, are you? But it's, awkward. I did not realize you had returned. I cannot move from the doorway, my eyes wide. I apologize most profusely. I didn't mean to intrude on, I clear my throat and glance into the hallway, realizing there is no subtle way to extricate myself from this situation. I should see Johnson. I quickly shuffle back out into the foyer, cursing myself and interrupting. It's only a few moments later when Ernest joins me. As he steps out, he rubs the back of his neck, a deep red blush still on his cheeks, even though his bright smile. Good evening to you. You're leaving? Please do not do so on my account. I should truly be returning to the barracks. He gives a quick bow, grabs his cape and hat, and dashes from the foyer so fast I don't have the chance to protest. Dang, some poems in here. Whew. Music a song and whatnot. When the door closes, I move back into the drawing room to find Arabella. Arabella stands by the fire, staring into the crackling flames, barely seeming to notice my entry. Arabella, I'm sorry for interrupting. Johnson should have told me you had company. Is it the heat of the flames that make you blush, or Ernest's visit? Do you wish to speak of what just happened? I'm just going to say I'm sorry. Arabella, I am sorry for interrupting. I did not know. Her face lights to a smile that makes her eyes sparkle. Oh, it does not matter. None of that matters. I believe he was about to propose. So I could see as I thoughtlessly blundered into the room. Oh, Rose, do you understand what this means? That no one on earth could possibly match your smile at this moment? It means he must love me. Oops, sorry. There was a doubt on that, because I believe his feelings were true from the moment of meeting you. Duh. I mean, why would you question? Like, you guys have been glued to the hip since day one of meeting. Dang. She says nothing more, excitement making her choke a little. She pulls me into an embrace, and I can almost feel the sheer joy seeping from her like an aura. I did not think I could know such feeling, especially for one I have known but a few months. I cannot help but smile at words, understanding her sentiment exactly as I think of Lawrence. Arabella spends most of the next couple of days eagerly awaiting Ernest's return. Though he's unfortunately held back on military business. Lawrence and I also had little luck, neither of us making headway into the discovery of the impostor swindler. One afternoon, as I am speaking with Johnson on household matters, Arabella scurries into the drawing room half breathless. Is she okay? And what of tomorrow's night's supper, Miss Smythe? What do you believe? He's returned. Who? I believe Lady Ashburn refers to the Colonel. I throw a knowing smile at Johnson. Ah, of course. Oh, do not tease me at such a moment. She moves further into the room, coming to stand beside me. I can't help but notice her fidget and unusual nervousness seeming to have taken hold of her. Johnson makes his exit, only to return moments later with a red cape and blue hat in his grasp. Colonel Foxley. I will leave you two alone. I will not interrupt. I am so dear sorry. I am just the professional third wheel, as it may seem. Good afternoon to you both. We exchange formalities, though more from habit than necessity, between us now. What delight to see you today, Ernest. And what could be the purpose of your visit? I glance at the door, wondering how best to make my exit. To spend time with you and to propose to you, Miss Arabella. I very much doubt either wishes me in the room should he attempt a proposal again. He clears his throat, his glance shifting uneasily to the window. It's such a beautiful day. I wonder if you should both like to take a walk about the park. Oh. I stifle a chuckle at Arabella's disappointment. Well, I think that is a splendid idea. We shall just be a moment fetching our things. And before I could say even a word of reply, Arabella takes my arm and leads me into the hallway to dress in our outerwear. Shouldn't I just be like, you guys can go by yourself? Because that's, you can just enjoy some romance for yourself. Oh, this game is long, but, it's getting interesting again. Okay. After an hour of walking as far as politely behind the excitedly chattering couple, I suggest calling on Lawrence and meeting them back at the park. I suggest they are both more than agreeable to. So I take a shortcut through the park and arrive on the Crescent in a shorter time than expected. After ringing the bell, it's no longer till the butler allows me inside. I was hoping to see Mr. Amesbury, if he's at home. Before the butler can respond, another voice sounds from the doorway next to us. Miss Smythe. Look at that! What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Mr. Montfort? Fart, I should say. Because you're a fart. Fart. He schools his rather tense expression into a polite smile. This is an unexpected pleasure, yet again. You're a dick. Sorry. Good afternoon, Mr. Monty. I was actually wondering if Lawrence is at home today. Of course you were. What an idiot. What a meanie. Turns to the butler in sharp move. Fetch him from his room, won't you? Butler gives a deep bow, before moving away up the stair behind him. You call him so regularly, I wonder if you remember I am here also. Oh, we do. His smile seems somewhat forced, but I do my best to ignore it as I reply. I'm always happy to see you too. I really make visits to see good friends. You sound as though you wish for my company yourself. I did not mean to cause you offense. That's all I should say. I apologize, Monty. I did not mean to cause any offense. Your apology is somewhat late and certainly no longer needed. What a dick. His cutting reply leaves me stunned, and I am unsure how to reply. Though I hear another also holds your attention of late. Does a society swindler really hold such interest for you? I don't know what you do not need to be so coy, Miss Smythe. Indeed, I wonder how he holds such a way over you when he protested his use of violence with such abhorrence. Or maybe a gunpowder burn was not enough to turn you against him so. Look at we're like, we do not appreciate that. I found uncomfortable and annoyed with this line of conversation, so I say, fuck you, and I leave. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Rose. Get rid of this man. He cannot live here. He is rude, and he is not a good friend. He is salty all the dang time. Thankfully, Lawrence strides down the stairs to stand between us before I make a reply I would regret. Ha! And what do I owe the honor of such a visit from you today? I was walking in the park with Arabella and Ernest and wondered if you would care to join us. Your house was not far from where I left them, so I thought I would call in. I am most glad you did. I have been cooped up in this house all morning. A walk would be most welcome. Especially one where you are my partner. I catched his gaze, suddenly most glad I decided to call upon him. Call me! Is that such a good idea, Lawrence? Monty's words break through our captured gaze. Did you not promise to write your family this afternoon and update them on your progress in town? You can do that later. Like, does the carrier pigeon only come at a certain time of the day? Leave us alone. Why do you not like love? And no offense, like, I wouldn't pay attention to him either if he was this dickish of a man. Jeez. Well, yes, but you know, I'm not a stickler for those kinds of refinements. His disapproving gaze shifts to land on me, as your choice of company would attest. Pierce! He's gonna kick his ass. Please excuse me, I have much to attend. I think you should shoot him. Jeez. He then gives a sudden bow, just to burn you guys, just a mere gunpowder burn, and leaves with hurried steps. I apologize for my friend. He has not been himself at all of late. He does seem a little unusual. He has spoken much less than usual and seems rather distracted. I'd hoped your new friendship would inspire him to participate more, but the mention of you only seems to darken his mood further. If you'd prefer to stay and to see to your friend? No, if he wishes to be a bore, then I say let him. I am for fresh air and good company. Amen, brother. Then shall we head to meet the others? Indeed, let us go. We managed to meet with others without incident, all of us pairing off as usual. Lawrence and I walk a few paces behind Arabella and Ernest, who I cannot believe are still so full of energy after walking for so long. Walking is not that hard, Rose. Could you imagine? I mean, you know, I guess if you had, like, health issues, it would be hard, but dang. You guys are, like, 26? I don't know. We're kind of old, so we're probably, like, almost 30. For that time period, it's old. For a while now, I have been telling Lawrence of Ernest's attempt proposal and my clumsy entrance into the middle of it. Oh, I do feel for the poor colonel. As did I, along with Arabella, who has been so happy for his attentions. I doubt she will have much to worry over. Any man who seems as in love as the colonel is will certainly try again. You sound as though you speak from experience. Not experience, no. But maybe it soon will be. I understand the meaning to his words and the realization making my stomach flutter and my heart skip a beat. Takes my hands in his, drawing me to a sudden stop on the path. I realize I often spoke lightly on many topics, including those close to my heart. But you must know I never jest about my feelings for you, Rose. Aw, what I feel for you is so powerful I fear it may consume me at times. And I'd be happy for it to do so if it meant I could have your heart in return. Lawrence, what? He swallows hard, stepping so close it makes my pulse race. I took on the role as a society swindler because my life held no meaning. There's nothing to give me purpose. But you have given me purpose. Having you in my life would give it such meaning I could fill 100 novels and still not fully express it. His words spin in my head, and my fingers clasping his tighter in uncertain excitement. Miss Smythe, what I'm asking is, come along, Rose. Mr. Amesbury, it is growing dark and we should really be going. Why? First the kiss blocking, now we're proposal blocking and whatnot. Takes a stumbled step back, glancing over his shoulder to where Arabella called to us. I feel suddenly much more attuned with Colonel Foxley. Oh. The showdown begins, you guys. Here we are. Dun dun dun. Night settles in faster than expected, and we end up walking through the remainder of the park in near darkness. Lawrence's arm settles about my waist as we walk, keeping us steady through the gloom as we try to stay on the path. I think I see the main street just ahead. There is a collective sigh of relief, the cold beginning to settle upon us as heavy as the dark. We make it only a few steps further before a shadow blocks our way. Oh my god. But of course. Why didn't I think it was Monty? I barely believe my own eyes as I stare at the society swindler before us. No, not the real swindler. This must be the imposter. Snatch that weave off his head. I glance at Lawrence, seeing the shock on his face, as he also must be realizing that the man before us is the fake. Okay. What a surprise to come across a group such as yourself dallying in the shadow of the park. Men and women of good sense would never linger here after sunset. What a frickin' idiot. Ernest steps before us all, his stance wide and protective. You are a menace that will no longer be tolerated. If I had my weapon, sir, I should. You are far braver than any I have encountered yet, Colonel. But do not be foolish. The impostor raises the gun he holds and gestures it at us. And unlike when Lawrence stopped us as a swindler, there is true danger around this man. This guy, I should have known it was him, because, he's just twisted. These things are quite unwieldy. I could not wish for an accident. The colonel doesn't move, but his shoulders hunch in obvious, uncertain tension. Now then, let us move on to a payment for your safe passage from the park. Fear coils through me as the impostor's gaze searches through the shadow and lands on me, his focus intent. Ah, there you are. Lawrence shifts before me, half hiding me from view. Now, my good man. He casually pulls the gun a little higher. I must have a moment with her. What the frick? Lawrence does not move, his arms sweeping behind him to push me further back. Tension prickles as chill as the night air, and I realize I must do something before anything terrible occurs. Okay. I do not want anyone hurt, especially on my account. Refuse to give you anything. Gentlemen, please, this is all rather unnecessary. I will give you a moment if you promise us safe passage. What? I'm going to say unnecessary. I step out from behind Lawrence, raising my hands a little and trying to ignore the genuine worry on his face as I pass. Please, gentlemen, this is all rather unnecessary. I do not believe my company is so enchanting that it can be worth securing in such a fashion. I assure you, enchanting is far from the word I would choose to describe you. What a dick. So your company is a necessity in this moment. Well, if you wish it, then a moment you shall have. As I move to step towards the false swindler, Lawrence reaches for my hand. Rose, you cannot. I can and I will. If it keeps you all safe, then I must do this. It is a long moment before he gives a small nod of his head and steps aside. With the decision made, the false swindler moves closer toward me. The others are reluctant to move aside, but do so as he once again grips the gun in threat. He pulls me further away from the group. obviously hoping to be overheard. Oh, not to be, sorry. This is a most wise decision, Miss Smythe. I tense a little at his use of my name, uncertain how this fraud would know of it. You asked for my time, though not eagerly. So what do you wish with it? I gasp as his arm slides about me, tugging me closer towards him. Unlike Lawrence, there was no chance for me to move away from him as he clasped me tightly against him. Apologies for the proximity. I will not do so unless required. His tone shifts from the strong, commanding one from before to something much more tense. I only wish to show certain people the fickleness of a woman's heart by stealing yours. It has already been stolen by another. My heart could never be swayed by actions such as this. Then you will be sorely disappointed. I must say it has already been stolen by another. I stare up at him, unable to make out his features through the shadows. My heart has already been stolen by another. There is a moment of quiet from him before his arm tightens even further about me. I do not believe your feelings to be so true. Well, what? You saying I'm fake liking your best friend, ya bitch? Are you certain they will not be swayed by such a gesture as this? He leans close, his voice like velvet as it washes over me. Still, I can sense the reluctance in his voice and cannot fathom as to why he is doing this. I am in love with another, and it shall never change. I cannot help my gaze shifting to Lawrence. Now you have an answer. Please unhand me. But you were so swayed by him as a swindler. Why not me? My love is not fickle, even if you may wish it to be. The poems again. So he's trying to be. He likes Rose. Is that it? He likes Rose? I thought it was just like, my friend is paying attention to you, and I'm gonna be upset about it for a while. And I resent your implication that my feelings are so shallow. I try not to push against his chest, but he seems too lost in confused thoughts to notice. I struggle in, but barely manage to move an inch away. A voice suddenly breaks through our tense discussion, and we both glance sideways to see Arabella striding with purpose towards us. Rose has been more than generous with her time. Now let her go. Arabella! Nice. My payment was for her time, not yours. Please move aside, Lady Ashburn. I already spent time with you weirdo. She does not, and instead only advances closer with Lawrence and the Colonel following her. I shall do no such thing until you have a friend, you brute. Yay. Arabella. She suddenly grabs his arm and makes to yank it off from around me. Oh. In apparent instinct rather than intention, he flinches away from her grasp, taking me with him. Arabella only follows, and I attempt to yank myself free as she grabs at him once more. In the following scuffle, the false swindler trips back, his arm pulling free. His gun jerks in his... Oh. Oh no! Arabella! Please don't be dead. Why is she not waking? Oh, Arabella. I'll go for the physician. Please wake up, Arabella. Oh my god. Oh, if she dies, I'm gonna be pissed as frick. Physicians are with her now, Miss Smythe. I glance up at Johnson as he approaches, half collapsed onto the seat in the foyer as soon as he arrived home. Ernest had carried Arabella back, clutching her to him as though she were the most precious thing he'd ever held in his life. She had not moved or awakened the entire time. Miss Smythe? Yes, thank you, Johnson. I swallowed hard, glancing down at my lap and frowning at the crimson blood staining my hands and dress. She is strong. She will pull through this. Ooh, crap, sorry. I can do little more than nod and reply, afraid that the emotion I have so far quelled will burst forth if I speak. Johnson moves away in silence, disappearing into the servants' stairway and leaving me alone once more. Lawrence and Ernest were doing what they could to arrange for a search to find the false swindler. But none of us seemed barely able to function. Oh my god, if she dies, I swear to Lord. I flinch as footsteps sound down the stairs, glancing behind us to see Lawrence move into the foyer. I stand unsteadily from my place and I stare at him. He says nothing, and for a while neither do I. I open my mouth to speak, and as I'd feared, I cannot form words past the tears that finally break free. As my knees threaten to give way, I feel his arms hug me to him gently. Oh, God. His fingers curl into my hair, his other hand embracing me closer. I grab his shirt to stop the trembling in my fingers. Tears streak over my cheeks, my body shaking violently. Once again with the poems. I'm sorry. It's good. He continues to hold me, both of us embracing for what seems hours. A couple of tense weeks pass, the physicians unsure of Arabella's condition. So she's not dead, but she's like in like critical. It seems like she's still critical. And back in those days, like holy crap, a gunshot. I mean, it's you never know when it, even nowadays with all the modern medicine and like surgeries and whatnot, but especially back in the day when the medicine was not even that good. Like, it was still better than what it was years before this time period, but still. They could do little more first to leave her to my care. I tend her every day, try to ignore the paleness to her cheeks and labored rising of her chest as she breathed. She does not wake. I am thankful for Lawrence's presence during that time, offering help and comfort every day. So she's basically, she's like, why isn't she, she's just kind of sleeping, and she's very pale. Ernest is also a constant figure in our house, his fear for Arabella weighing on him heavier each day she's not awake. But then one day, Johnson, I hope she's woken. I scurried down the stairs, finding Arabella gone from her room. Arabella is in the drawing room. What? Johnson smiles, possibly for the first time in weeks. Lady Ashburn is taking to the drawing room. I do not respond, fleeting hope taking hold with me as I rush into the next room. Oh my gosh, thank goodness. Yay. I stumbled to stop in the doorway, staring at my friend sat on the sofa, a teacup clutched a little unsteadily in her fingers. Good morning, Rose. Her voice somewhat strained, and she is fully rested against the back of the seat, but she is well. Hug her. You should be moving around. I should not be surprised that even such a woman could not hold you back. I am so glad to see you awake. I should say that. Be like, you're strong, girl. Relief floods through me to see her, though concern tugs at me as she hunches a little in apparent pain. I suppose I should not be so shocked to see that even such a serious wound cannot keep you from society. Indeed, you should not be surprised at all. How should I keep abreast of all the talk of the town if I'm holed up in my room? I give a small laugh, moving to sit beside her and taking her hands in mine. We jest about such a thing, but Arabella, please do be careful. I cannot bear to see you in such a way again. Holds up a hand to stop me as I speak, then leans forward to place down her cup. I notice her wince as she moves, her hand snapping to her side and clutching at her the wound. I frown in concern, but keep myself silent. I don't wish to speak of my condition, or she shifts uneasily on the seat, her fingers grasping her side a little tighter, or the wound I've received. The memories are still sharp in my mind. I do not need them repeated in words as well. Though I do have a vague recollection of Ernest carrying me. Indeed, he carried you all the way home and could barely let you out of his arms even when the physicians came to examine you. Poor Ernest, I do so hope I didn't bleed all over him. I wouldn't wish to give him a bad impression. I doubt anything you could do would even sway that man's affections. As her laughter subsides a little, so does the pain creasing her features. Footsteps shuffle into the room, and we both glance at the doorway to see Johnson. Do you require anything at all, Lady Ashburn? Nothing, thank you. Oh, Johnson. Butler halts in his exit from the room to glance at me. Will you send a word to Mr. Amesbury and Colonel Foxy, please? He gives a nod of his head, bows, and then suddenly leaves the room. I turn to Arabella once again, sheer joy filling me once more as she smiles brightly. Aww, yay. Ernest arrives barely an hour later, and I leave the pair to their privacy. Thankfully, Lawrence only arrives a little while later. He has barely handed over his hat and cape before he rushes towards me. Is it true? Has she awakened? It is true. His face breaks to a genuine grin, and he steps forward to pull me into a relief-filled something. The servants pay us little attention, having grown used to our unusually public shows of intimacy over the past weeks. He pulls away, his hand running down my arms until he holds my hands in his. When I received the news, I feared it was my imagination that had conjured it. Indeed, even Pierce was most affected to hear of her recovery. For having barely any acquaintance with her, he has been most anxious about her, to the point he was almost made himself ill. I hope she is so now she is well. He collapsed onto his seat at the news, but seemed in better spirits as I rushed out of the house. I smile in response, also uncertain why Mr. Montfort should be so overcome, but grateful for his concern. Because he had to go and be a jerk, and then he shot someone. Jeez. And where is Lady Ashburn? She's in the drawing room, with Ernest. Ah, now I see why you linger in the hallway. I believe they both wish to start their future, especially after this. As do we all. Sorry. He brushes a curl of hair from my face, his hand then cupping my cheek. These weeks have been trying for all of us, but I realize how much I was affected by you in that time. Your heartbreak is my heartbreak, your happiness my happiness, and I would see it always as such. I believe my heart was yours from the moment we met upon that bridge at the picnic. I've so long been in love with you, but it was not until now that I realized the undeniable strength of that love. His declaration leaves me momentarily speechless, and I try to blink myself out of my deliriously happy state. Kiss him, I love you too. Are you proposing? I love you too. I love you just as long as, and with just as much strength. He gives a cheerful laugh, wrapping his arms around me. For a moment I had my doubts. How could you have had doubts in such a thing? Indeed, how foolish of me. My breathing speeds as his hand presses against my back, his head leading towards me. Every time we try to kiss. The freaking door. Oh, shite. It's Monty, though, too. Ooh. The door opens before Lawrence has a chance to move away. Mr. Montfort walks in on the scene of our very close embrace. Pierce, what are you doing here? His arms drop from around me, and we both turn to face Monty. He runs a hand through his hair, a nervous action that is most unexpected from the man. He clears his throat and straightens his hunched shoulders. I came to pay my well wishes to Lady Ashburn. Always so respectful even to those you barely know. You're a good man, Pierce. The man quickly shifts away at the comment, gripping his gloves in his hands so tight his knuckles whiten. I frown at his odd motion, but brush away the thoughts. I should go check if she is ready for visitors. He nods his head, and I give a small curtsy before heading into the drawing room to check on Arabella and Ernest. The gathering which follows between us all is a cheerful one. Well, except Monty, who, after barely making eye contact with Mare Arabella and greeting her, stands to one side and is unusually quiet. After a few happy hours have passed, we have all headed into the dining room, everyone deciding to stay for dinner. I remain in the drawing room for a moment, gathering myself. Only find someone else remaining behind as well. Oh, Monty, can I help you? He opened his mouth to speak, but instead closes it again and begins pacing. Are you well? Is there something? He stops suddenly and faces me, though his gaze keeps his gaze turned away. There's something I must confess, Miss Smythe, and it is something I am not all proud of. I'm unsure I'm the best person to hear confessions, Monty. My attempt at lightening his mood falls flat, unsurprising, seeing as he did not value my company in the first place. Instead, I give a nod for him to continue. If you must. Though, from what I have witnessed upon my entry, I believe my friend have already made the declaration I hoped my abhorrent actions would prevent. I stiffened in my seat. I didn't know what you could mean. I do not care for you at all, Miss Smythe. Oh, yeah, we didn't notice that. At all. It cannot come as much of a shock. No shite. Not a shock, Monty, but I will not sit here just to be humiliated by you. Please, that is not my intent here. I stared at him for a long moment before giving another nod for him to continue. When arriving in town, I had thought to find Lawrence alone. My plans were for us to enjoy our last season as free men, his father having already arranged a suitable match for him on his arrival home. And then I met you. From the moment of meeting, I could see Lawrence's attraction to you. I had hoped it would fade, but the longer you stayed, the less likely that was going to happen. My main concern was the unsuitability of such a partnership. Your personalities may mix well now, but I did not see it lasting forever. I quickly stand from my place, unsure how else to quieten his insults without being rude. But it does not work, and he continues. You must understand, Miss Smythe, he is like a brother to me. I only wish to see happiness continue. I thought maybe he was merely engaging in a trivial flirtation before settling down. Oh, God. I cannot help but purse my lips to further at the comment, unappreciative of being considered as a mere flirtation by anyone. I thought he would let the relationship fade as the end of the season approached. But the opposite was happening. He was quickly falling in love with you. He begins pacing again, and I fall back onto the seat, his blunt statements like a weight settling on my shoulders. I knew then it would take some grand to make him see the truth of your unsuitability. And after Lawrence told me of his escapades as a swindler, yep, I had a feeling he knew, and his time with you in those moments, I know many women cannot help but fall for characters such as the society swindler. My plan was simply to show you that any man who dressed in such a guise could steal your heart. I realize now what a foolish idea it was. I also did not count you on being so in love with him. And then, the gun. I did not think it would fire. That's why you don't load it, you dummy. The revealed information takes a while to settle my mind to realize just what he is saying. I almost stumbled back when pieces slot together in my mind. You're the fraud. You shot Arabella. It all suddenly makes sense. His concern for her well-being, his reluctance to look at her, his quietness and unusual behavior. Pierce, it can't be. We turned to find Lawrence lingering by the doorway. Lawrence, how much did you hear? All of it. And I could have coped with all, but that last part? You are truly a fool. I know. I did not mean for it to happen. You must believe me. Oh. I believe you, but I cannot forgive you. Slap him. Your intent and your actions are at odds. I understand accidents, but you could have prevented this one. Yeah, you could have prevented it. Like, you didn't have to be an idiot. But this one you could have prevented. And no amount of apologies or I can change that now. Straightens himself and gives a stiff nod. You are right. Yep, we're always right. Miss Smythe. A silence falls heavily in the room, and I never sure how to break it. What would you have of me now? Lawrence glances at me for a brief moment before stepping closer towards his friend and clasping his arm. This is all my fault, Pierce. If I had not been so naive as to start this ridiculous charade in the first place, none of this would have happened. We should both be the ones to bear responsibility for what has happened. What are you saying? We will turn ourselves in. But Lawrence, your father, I shall have to deal with it. Lawrence shifted his gaze to me, and I hold it for the longest moment. I shall wait for you in the foyer. But, I don't know. It's like, why had both of them turned themselves in? He didn't shoot her. It was him. I would say, like, you turn yourself in, but not you. Like, he never, like, hurt anybody. As soon as he's gone, Lawrence strides over to me and takes my hands. You cannot do this. It was not your fault. No, not for Pierce's actions, but maybe for giving him the opportunity. For that I am most guilty, and I should pay for it. Emotion building in my chest, making me my breath stutter. He places his fingers beneath my chin and raises my head to look at him once more. Don't be worried for us. We will be together. I shall make sure of it. His words do little to help the building sadness that tugs at my heart. When will you do it? Tomorrow. Better to get these things done before I decide against the sensible. He continues to smile, obviously hoping to stem my upset, but I cannot laugh in response. I would. He shifts uneasily at the spot, clasping my hands a little tighter. Will you meet me there? At the magistrate's office? When I'm in your presence, I feel as though I could do anything. And I would definitely need that feeling to get through this, of course. We're going to save there. And
finish it in another part because it's too long and the drama's coming along. Bye, guys.